You've got to know. You've got to know. What is this thing that I have found? What is this?
What's this?
All right. This is going to be a book. It's really going to be an author.
Okay.
But it's going to be... I'm going to give you a place to start by giving you the title of a book.
Okay, before you tell us about this book,
I
gotta tell you about what happened the other night.
What's this?
Walking in Laguna Beach.
What?
Just at nighttime.
Okay. I mean, what were you...
I was at the Pageant of the Masters, which is a show that they do there with people pretend like they're in paintings.
Yeah, it's great.
Anyways, walking back from that, so it's like nighttime. I mean, parking's a nightmare because it's the whole Laguna Arts Festival is going on in the summer. So
yeah, no, I know. It's the worst.
Walking down the street to go park, just dump-da-dump-da-dump. My girlfriend's like, oh my God, look at that spider. And I look over to see Shelob.
No, come on. Let me see a picture.
Okay. It's there. Here it is. I put it up.
That's the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Uh-huh.
The thing is huge.
It's huge.
That's like a tarantula.
It's all hairy.
That's not like an outdoor spider. Like
those don't just hang out. Like,
not here.
Because if people say, oh my God, look at that spider, I'm expecting to see like a web and like a spider that's maybe like an inch to a half an inch in size.
Quarter size.
Quarter, yeah, size of a quarter. I call that a big spider for around here.
Absolutely.
This is like a 4-inch tarantula covered in hair, just standing on the sidewalk looking.
What is that about? Where? Now, give me some scale on this.
This is the terror of Laguna Beach. It's like it's big. It was like
hand size or
no, not quite hand size. Like maybe like. It was, I don't know. Its body was at least 3 inches long.
Oh.
And then you add on its legs. But there's hair. You can see hair on it.
Oh.
And she's just like, look at that spider. And I'm like...
No, that picture is terrifying. We're going to put the picture up, right?
Yeah.
That is terrifying.
I then had to have a larger reaction because that spider deserves some sort of shriek or cry out from a human that sees it.
I would expect and this is not because she's a girl.
Yeah.
It's because... It's a big
it's just a scary-ass giant spider.
I would expect her to scream like a horror movie.
Yeah, I did that instead. Because she was just like, oh, look, there's a big spider. And I was like, ah! Oh, God. And then I was like, I better take a picture of this to document it. But then I was like, how close can I get with my camera? Because what if it jumps up and bites me? I know that's not going to happen, but it's a giant, scary...
Do you know
it's a monster.
Do you know that's not going to happen?
No.
You just believe it's not going to happen because science has told you that.
Yeah, I've seen like nature and stuff, and they're like, tarantulas do this. And I'm like, that is a monster.
Yeah.
That's what that is. This is not an arachnid. It's a monster.
Okay, but see, I'm of the opinion that spiders are tiny little monsters to begin with.
It is a monster.
Like, if you look at that, that's a monster. It's got hairy. 8 eyes. It's got...
It's gross.
Yeah.
And I didn't know.
And that does not belong in my... area.
No, I was certainly not going to kill it because I was afraid like it would take my shoe and throw it back at me or something. Like,
or keep it, wear it.
Just
a spider that size.
Like, I was just like, well, I'm just gonna keep a wide berth and get the hell out of Laguna Beach
and keep your eyes on it.
Yeah,
until
I'm well away.
That's the way it was. On a related story.
Yeah,
I was using the restroom, and I was seated.
Yeah,
so it wasn't just a quick in and out.
Yeah,
I was reading a magazine.
Yeah,
taking my time.
Yeah.
Now, sitting on the toilet, into the bathroom crawls a very little spider.
Just a little one?
It was like dime size.
Okay.
Yeah.
Average.
Average size little house spider.
Yeah.
That was the tensest bathroom trip I've ever... Because I'm seated, and I haven't, cleaned up or anything, so I'm trapped.
You can't move.
I can't move.
Well, you could. You could move to wipe.
But... And I did.
Okay, so very slowly.
But keeping my eyes...
Keep it locked on it.
On the spider at all time. And it was moving in spurts.
Oh, okay.
Which is the worst. That's the worst way that spiders can move, and they do it all the time.
Yeah.
Tick, tick, tick,
yeah.
Tick, 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 tick.
Uh-huh.
Like you hear the little Picasso strings,
strings being plucked.
So I'm like tense, trying to clean myself up, thinking that at any moment it's going to try to run up my pantsless legs. And, I don't know what it's going to do. It's going to do none of these things. Because it really has no...
It doesn't even know you're there. It's just doing its bathroom thing.
But in my mind, I am in mortal danger.
Yeah.
And it's even worse because I'm vulnerable.
Pants are down.
Because my pants are down. I'm just like... That was the end of the... I had to... Oh, it was the worst.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm afraid of spiders.
Yeah, I knew that.
So you showing me this picture of a spider in this area? I don't want to see that. I don't want.
Could be outside your place tomorrow.
Don't. I don't like that. That's terrifying.
Yeah, that's bad. Well, it's one of those ones where they're like, when you go to the zoo or the whatever prehistoric pets, and they're like, here's a western tarantula, and here's its range, and it's like the entire country, and you're like, I've never seen one of those around here. Then I was like, it's real. How many of those are really lurking around now?
Right, I don't know.
Like, it takes 11 o'clock at night for one to come out. Like, who knows?
Right.
Could be everywhere.
I do not want to see one near my house at 11 o'clock at night. Like, what if I'm on my bare feet?
Yeah. What if it just walks across your bare foot?
No. No, that can't. No.
Because all I imagine now is that it's like a tiny version of Shelob, so it has like those little like spiked hooves.
Yeah.
Got that
you feel them just gently digging into your skin. Oh.
It's not good.
No. And tarantulas, I know they don't tend to bite people or anything like that, but I don't want that near me. It's a spider, and it's huge, and it's hairy.
The hair is... That's what makes it a monster. That's where it moves from a bug to a monster.
Yeah.
Because bugs don't have hair.
No, this is furry.
Monsters have hair.
Monsters have hair, and they come out in the middle of the night to terrify you.
That's right.
That's what this is.
That's what it did.
That's what it did.
Uh-huh.
And it was just standing there like a thug. It wasn't even like...
Yeah. He was just guarding the door.
I know.
Yeah. Anyways, it's bad times in Laguna.
Sorry, Laguna.
Yeah.
You just lost any business.
I'm never coming
there again. No.
All right, so let's hear about this.
All right, so what I wanted to talk to you about... Oh, I can't... Hold on.
Spiders.
I got the willies.
Yeah. Okay.
You know how you talk about something and now you feel like... You have like a little... Oh, what's that?
Start itching.
Start itching? Yeah. Thanks. Thanks a lot. What I'm talking about here is actually an author by the name of Joe Hill.
Okay.
You heard of him?
No.
I know, it's
pretty blandest name ever.
Joe Hill. John Smith. But Joe Hill, I got turned onto his books because I had read a review of his newest book, which is a novel, very, very good. I've now read, because he only has 4 books.
Okay.
I've now read them all. They're really quite good. There's a little twist here that I'm saving. But the one that I started with was called Nosferatu, and it's spelled Nos4A2.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a license plate.
Okay.
Okay? And it's this weird, like, creepy book about this guy who, like, takes kids for rides in his big black car that, like, and because he's taking them to Christmas Land, where they'll be happy forever and ever.
What?
But by the time they get there, they're like these weird vampire creatures, and he's younger.
What the heck?
It's bizarre. Okay. And then the story revolves around the one girl who escaped.
Okay.
And now she's grown up, and now he's coming back for revenge to get her kid because she almost killed.
This is awful.
It was terrifying. It was really, really well written.
Yeah.
But it was scary.
Yeah.
And then about 3/4 of the way through the book, because this map, because finally he does come and get her kid, so she has to track him down, right?
Yeah.
Well, they use his GPS to try to find out where he is, and the map of the United States is all weird and skewed, like it's not the correct GPS map.
Yeah.
What you're seeing is like the map of the magical places in America.
Okay.
And it was like the Treehouse of the Mind and all these weird things that it turns out later on I found out Treehouse of the Mind was in another book that he had written.
Oh.
So he's making references to his own
like
books.
A Stephen King-y
yes.
thing.
Which brings me to the interesting fact that one of the places he mentioned was the Rose Plaza from the Dark Tower, the entrance to Midworld.
Okay.
And I was like, he's referencing Midworld? Like, he's referencing the Dark Tower in this?
Yeah.
Joe Hill is Stephen King's son.
Oh.
And I was like... so I started reading it, and then when I realized that, I was wondering, like, this guy is great. He kind of reminds me of Stephen King.
And you're like,
oh.
So he probably would if I met him, too.
Yeah. Well, then I finally looked up his picture.
Yeah.
He looks like Stephen King.
Yeah.
This excites me because I'm a realistic person.
It could continue after he dies.
Yes. I'm a realistic person, and Stephen King, as we've said before in this podcast, is one of my favorite authors.
Yeah.
And now that I know his son writes really well and a lot like his father,
yeah,
it's like, all right, well, I don't want anything bad to happen to Stephen King.
Yeah.
But when the unthinkable
Eventually,
happens, as it does to everyone, I now know that it's going to go on.
Okay, good. That's awesome.
I know. I thought that was great.
So how many books has he written?
He's written 4 books. The first one is called Heart-Shaped Box.
Okay.
It's very good. It wasn't my favorite of his, but...
So you've read them all by now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Heart-Shaped Box was very good. Ghost Story.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is the one I want to talk about. The third one is a book called Horns, where a guy makes a deal with the devil. Very, very funny.
Okay.
Very, very good. The fourth one, Nosferatu, the one I just told you
Okay.
about. But the one I recommend to everybody,
Okay.
the What's This,
Yes.
is a book called 20th Century Ghosts.
Okay.
It was ostensibly his first release, but it was kind of didn't come to prominence till after Heart-Shaped Box came out, so it's kind of his second release. Like, either way, 20th Century Ghosts is a collection of short stories.
Oh, okay.
I'm a big fan of short story collections. I enjoy them because you can just read them.
You can just read one a night and be like, cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially these ones because they range from like kind of the touching to the Twilight Zone-y. You get a wide range. So I would recommend if you want to start reading Joe Hill, this is where I would start.
Okay.
And just to give you a brief, because there's like maybe 17 stories. There's a bunch in there.
Yeah.
And they all take place at some point in the 20th century, obviously. The highlights, I would say, of this book, 20th Century Ghost, the actual title story, about a ghost in a movie theater. Very, very touching. Very, very nice. The Cape. This one takes a turn you never expect.
Okay.
Because it's like this little kid has a cape. And I'm going to spoil this one just a little bit because it's not one of the...
It's just one of the short stories.
Yeah, and it's not one of the premiere ones either.
Yeah.
But I just want to give you a flavor.
Yeah.
Little boy and his brother, he has a cape made out of his favorite blanket.
Uh-huh.
And he's up in a tree one day, and his brother's trying to get him. They're being brothers. And all of a sudden, the branch snaps off beneath him, and he floats in the air.
Okay.
And so it turns out like his cape can help him fly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it makes him float. And they're amazed by this, and finally he gets back down the tree, and then of course his brother's like,
Give me the cape.
"Give me the cape."
Yeah.
Puts it on, leaps out of the tree, breaks his arm. He's like all all messed up, breaks his cheek, and it really messes him up bad. So. Cut to later because now his brother's like the perfect person.
Yeah.
Ever since then, you know what I'm saying, and he's kind of a loser. Either way, he ends up finding his cape again in a box one day. He's like much older.
Yeah.
And when his girlfriend had just broken up with him, and he was kind of at a low point.
Yeah.
And he puts it on and he figures out how to float again. And you're like, this is kind of cool. Like, where's the story going? So he floats over to his girlfriend's house, right? And you're like, oh my God. And there's a slightly creepy moment where he's like watching her get undressed for the shower or something like that. And you're like, oh, is that where this is going?
Yeah.
And no. And he like knocks on the window and he talks to her. And he's like, let me show you what I can do. And he floats and you're like, oh wow. Like, and then they're starting to like mend up. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, this is really kind of cool. Because of course, as a girl, you'd be like, oh, I want a boyfriend who can float.
Yeah.
Right? So he's floating, and she's like, this is amazing. This is the most magical thing that's ever happened to me. And he's like, oh, yeah? Well, that was true for me, too, before you dumped me. And then by now he's floated so high and just drops her. And that's like the end of the story. It's just like, the whole story is just him, like, killing his girlfriend. And then he's like, yeah, and maybe one day I'll take a trip over to my brother's house, too. And you're just like, what?
He went bad.
He just went totally bad.
That's
you're like,
great.
So check that out. Last Breath is a great story about a guy who collects people's last breaths.
Okay.
Very Twilight Zone.
Yeah,
because he has a
Twilight
museum.
Zone-y. Yeah.
You know, and then, but I think the number one story to read in this, and it sounds weird, but you're gonna like it. It's a story called Pop Art.
Okay.
And it's not about art.
Okay.
It's about a guy, about a boy named Art, who's best friends with the guy who's telling the story.
Yeah.
And you just have to go along with this. Art is made of plastic.
Okay.
He's a real boy, goes to school like everybody else, but we're living now, I guess, in a world where occasionally people are born who are just made of plastic.
Okay.
And like it becomes a story about kids who are different and stuff like that. And it was weird and it was very touching.
That's
and
cool.
It was just very, very original. I'd never read anything like this before. So if there's one story to check out, Pop Art is it. But check out the whole book. I really think people will like it. And if you're a Stephen King fan, you should be excited.
Yeah,
because this is a future.
How come? So does he not use? Is that a fake last name or what?
I believe it's his middle name.
Oh, okay, because he doesn't want the shadow of...
Right, and I understand that.
Which is perfectly understandable, yeah.
And the first time he ever made a reference to his any of his father's stuff or his father was in his fourth book. So by the time this one had come out, he was already established as his own...
his own author, right.
Yeah.
All right. Very nice.
Yeah.
So enjoy. There's a little what's this.
And beware of spiders.
Shot for Spiders. Remember to hit us up on Facebook.com/FITB podcast.
This is just a little bit. Go listen to the real show.
YouTube and fillintheblankfilms.com.
Yep.
And we will see you back on the podcast.
Yes, we will.